All right, we are officially recording.
Let's get it.
Welcome into Pay Dirt Sports. This is Will Dundon here with Nick Truschel and Seth Coggin. Pay Dirt Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Boys, how's the weekend? Should we jump right into it? Jump right into what went down as far as the madness goes?
Yeah, that was kind of my weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Jump into the madness.
Yeah. It was technically not still dancing. You know, last week I came on, I was still dancing. We got a few extra days in. See, the weekend started off, as about as electric as possible. You get the whole build up, Hogs traveling out to San Francisco, #1 overall seed Gonzaga. What an opportunity. And the Hogs took care of business for 40 minutes. Pretty much, we're the better team, looked like, played harder and played better, and kind of took it to Gonzaga. Took it to Chet, took it to Timmy, took it all to all their stars. We just kind of out physical. We were just kind of a little bit tougher. It was awesome. But that is the Ides of March, is that one night on Thursday night, you're on top of the world. Just beat Gonzaga, like overall #1 seed. Hogs just beat them. I just watched them just dominate them. And then you got to face Coach K, and the almost the mythical creature Coach K and Duke has just been there every year. They're always around. And finally, but the Hogs had an opportunity and played with them for a little bit, but lost a tough elite 8 game. But it happens sometimes. You're right there. Hopefully you can finish. You only get so many of those elite 8 opportunities. Hopefully you can finish a few and at least punch a ticket to the Final Four. But man, that was a tough squad in Duke they ran up to. That Duke team is playing. They're playing really strong.
Dude, they were just playing smart, it seemed like, especially in that. I hadn't really watched Duke a lot during the tournament, but in that Arkansas game, it was like everything just looked like it was drawn up and they were just executing super well. And that's what it came down to. I felt like Arkansas just got kind of – who's number 4? What's his name on Arkansas?
Devo Davis.
I feel like he was just out of control for like a lot of the game. And I remember, because I think when I was watching the Baylor game with you, Seth, last year – you and your dad were getting upset and talking about how he loves to do the jump pass. Like he'll go up like he's shooting and then just at the last second throw it off. And I swear I saw him do that 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, gosh, what are you doing, man?
That is like, I mean, even early on, I remember playing like church rec league ball in middle school, like coaches saying, yeah, don't leave your feet with the ball. Don't leave your feet with the ball unless you're shooting. So kind of being out of control and jumping around like that, usually not a recipe for success, leads to a lot of turnovers for sure.
But yeah, Seth, what's the feel around Hog Nation? I mean, back-to-back Elite Eights, and you beat a #1 seed too, that a lot of people were picking to either win the whole thing, or I mean, if nothing else, I mean, you got, I don't know how tall Timmy is, but obviously Holmgren, like a 7-footer that can run the court. I mean, you had some great wins.
Yeah, another really exciting March for the Razorbacks. I mean, in my entire lifetime, Arkansas is a really good program with like a lot of backing, a lot of funding, a lot of, they have all the tools and they need to succeed, and a huge fan base. But in my entire lifetime, we hadn't even been to the Sweet 16. And, that's coming off the mid 90s when they were Final Four in like 3 out of 5 years.
Yeah.
Won a natty and were runners up the year after, to like all of a sudden have this drought of success where like we can't get past the first weekend. Like we hadn't made a Sweet 16 in my life. And so now we've made 2 straight Elite 8 runs. Like, yeah, it sucks to lose to Duke. Like it really does. But man, holy crap, we had a chance to go to the Final Four on Sunday. Like, we're right there. And our recruiting class is #2 in the nation right now. We might possibly add another 5-star. That actually is about to happen. It may be happening right now. Anthony Black. See, he was a guy, he was on the fence between Gonzaga and Arkansas. Those were kind of his last 2 schools. So that was almost like a last statement to him. We're in the NIL era. Like we seem built to succeed. That's what a lot of people are taking seriously around here. The fact that may provide Arkansas a better chance to kind of even the playing field. I don't know. It feels good. Muss has just built kind of a monster. Like he's really built a program that's kind of
Dangerous.
done really well, and actually is about to make kind of the next step. Because he's been, I mean, we had 11 new players this last year. Like he obviously can retool something, and now we're gonna have, and those guys were just kind of a mix and match of guys. Like this year, we're having like a great recruit, like actually more talent into that system, into that kind of program he's building. It's pretty good time to be a Hog. I can't lie. Pretty exciting. Last team in the SEC standing again for the second year in a row. That's not nothing to be said. So we're pretty pumped. Muss has got us rolling. So we just got to keep it going. Like keep the steam on at this point. Like go farther next year. Just amp it up. Like there's still room to grow. Like we're not natty champs yet. Like we ain't hit the ceiling yet. We know we can win it here. Like it has been done before. So why not do it again? And
Why not us?
maybe do more. Like what if Arkansas ran it back and became 2 out of 3, 2 out of 4 becomes just, hey, no, this is the place, man.
2 out of
Yeah,
3
I mean,
or 2 out of
back-to-back
4
elite-
would be insane.
It would be
But,
insane. It would be insane, but why
I'd hope
not?
for it.
Yeah.
If the Vols don't win, I'd be rooting for the Hogs. So
What if the Vols and Hogs split the next 4? I'll split them.
That
I'll
was-
split them. I'll split them right now, 2
yeah,
and 2.
I'll
I will
we'll shake
make
on
that trade. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hogs and Vols splitting the next 4.
Well, that's
I'll
what I
take it.
mean. Y'all are in such a good, situation because Musselman, not like old or anything, loves Arkansas. I mean, he's not going anywhere. Back-to-back Elite Eights, went a lot farther than anyone else in the SEC. So, I mean, you're in really good shape there, obviously. But you said something, and this is off topic, but it just made me think of it. How do you think a team like Gonzaga is going to do once like NIL stuff gets into full effect? Do you think Gonzaga still has like the backing, especially, I mean, they're just going to focus on basketball. Do you think that's going to hurt them at all? Or do you think they'll be able to ride it out kind of with all the other big schools?
I personally think their basketball program alone can probably withstand it and kind of rise above and still
Agreed.
compete on the high level. Just because, basketball is a very limited roster and very high exposure sport. So I think that program alone can sustain pretty good. I mean, continued excellence. They've been great for a long time. Yeah. They don't have a single ring to show for it yet, but they've been really good for a long time. So I think their brand itself is high enough, like elevated level enough where it's still beneficial for athletes to go there and hoop there.
Yeah, and I think kind of as the program has sustained this success, they've also got backers. I mean, you got John Stockton. That dude is going to be willing to put money in NIL deals for Gonzaga, and I think just like you said, Seth, Mark Few and that crew out in Gonzaga has built such a household name program for basketball that I think while maybe they won't have the funds that Tennessee or Arkansas or A&M or Nebraska or some of those schools will have, but since they're just going to be so hyper focused on that basketball aspect, they're going to be able to hang in there, I think, with some of those big dogs.
But, yeah, and then so we've got obviously the Final Four coming up as well. Kind of turns it. I think this is funny because I feel like it happens more often than we think it does, where you have a Final Four of essentially top 2, 3 seeds, pretty much all blue bloods. If you consider Villanova a blue blood, I know, which I mean, I kind of do. They're just newer to the blue blood. Like it besides not being good a long time ago, they have like the same amount, and I think they have the same amount of natties as Kansas does. Don't quote me on that, but I think they do. But yeah, you got Duke, UNC, Kansas, Villanova, and it seems like it is just drawing up to be a storybook ending for Coach K, and I don't think I can handle it if that's how it ends up.
Yeah, that's what my dad and I were talking about this morning, just kind of talking about the storybook ending, that it almost seems already written out that Coach K finished his career with a national championship. But there's one man named Hubert Davis that is going to be standing right in front of Coach K's way. He's standing right at the gates of hell, facing the devil himself in UNC or in Duke and Coach K. And I honestly believe that those players and seeing that moment after UNC won the game where he's tearing up, his players are going crazy. I got more faith in UNC on this one, and I'm calling for an upset here. I think it's almost turned into too much of a deal for Coach K. It's turned into too much, and it's going to go to their head. I mean, it's certainly the revenge aspect to it as well is going to be interesting because UNC obviously beat out Duke, but with the stakes so high playing for a national championship, I feel like you can almost throw that out the window. I mean, these teams and these guys are ready to go. And I just think UNC is going to want it more, and too many people are on Duke right now. It's what UNC +4. I'd take that all day.
I like it. I think Duke right now, I think Duke is better, but I think North Carolina can be streaky enough to play with them. Like, I think Duke is playing better basketball, if that makes sense. Like, I think watching them play, like I said earlier, how they were played against Arkansas, everything looks like they're drawing it up well, they're executing. But then you have North Carolina over here who, can get hot, can make some threes. And Maycott is like a huge just game changer, I feel like. I mean, that dude is so big and so athletic. It's so hard to guard him. If he can get going, I mean, he alone can keep North Carolina in that game and make it fun to watch. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about Kansas Villanova? I like Villanova's chances here. I think Kansas is going to run out of steam. I actually parlayed Hogs and Nova money line, thinking it was going to be a big weekend for me. Got one of those to hit in Villanova, but obviously we saw Arkansas lose. But I'm kind of big on the Villanova here, so I'm taking both dogs. Taking both dogs in the
Let
final
the dogs
four.
eat.
Yeah,
Let
I'm
the
taking
dogs
both
eat.
dogs.
I'd go with both dogs. I'd hope that. I'm not a very big Bill Self fan. So I'll go with Villanova there on pretty much just pure intuition. I don't think I've watched a single Kansas basketball game this year, to be 100% honest. Besides the end, the only one I've watched is the end of the basketball game right before the Duke North Carolina game the first time. I mean, didn't Kansas send that to overtime? So you know what I actually think is going to happen? It's going to suck so bad if Coach K wins the whole thing, right? That's going to be so annoying.
Yeah, nobody except Duke fans wants that.
I know
That would
no
be
one
so
wants it.
gross. Oh,
I don't know
Duke,
if I want him to, like, if Duke makes it to the Natty, if it would make me happier if they, got beat by 50 or if they lost on like a last second buzzer beater. I don't know. Because usually, when it's your team, people ask you that and you're like, honestly, I'd rather just get crushed and get it out of the way than get my heart ripped out at the end. I don't know what I want for Coach K, because while, yeah, you could get your heart ripped out at the end, it would also be cool to just see him get annihilated in his last showing.
Yeah.
Might be a little more embarrassing.
No, I think personally, I'd want UNC to just come out, beat the crap out of them. I think if UNC wins on a game winner, that gives them a better chance to win the national championship, if that makes any sense. Because I think they'd come in fat and happy. They beat Coach K, they won their Super Bowl, and come in a little slow national championship wise. If they just destroy Duke, I think that could almost be a little kind of poison how Nick Saban talks about getting too confident and listening to the media and stuff like that. But I think it'd be fun to see Duke just get destroyed.
Didn't North Carolina and Villanova play a few years back?
Yeah, that's when Villanova. God, I can't remember his
Buzzer
name. It's slipping
beater.
my name.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember
he
his
hit
name,
that
but
deep three ball.
well,
could
because
see
it wasn't
I
it
could see them.
Marcus Page hit a three, right? For
Yeah, a
North Carolina.
double clutch.
Yeah.
Insane three.
And Villanova just came back and answered.
Came back and then just nails the 45-footer for the Natty. I mean, that's every kid's dream right there.
I'm picking Carolina for the championship. Shout out Swaff. And
shout out Dougie V.
Shout out Dougie V. I got a lot of Tar Heels. We'll go with North Carolina. We'll see. Next Monday night it'll be happening. Should we go live show during the game?
Ooh, Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
do a little live recording. I kind of like that.
I would love to see North Carolina pull it off. As far as the Kansas Villanova game goes, I like Jay Wright, better as a coach. But I don't know. I think Kansas, I don't know if they're more talented. I don't know if I can really say that. To me, it seems like they might have a better team. But yeah, again, I think Jay Wright might be the best coach in basketball right now. So I'm going to go with them over Kansas. But yeah, that's what I like that idea of us going live next week, kind of reacting to everything that's going on. What time does the game start? 7, I assume. Probably around then.
Yeah, somewhere around then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be fun. We could even do a little Twitter space or something like that while we're working. We're putting in work and having fun.
Yeah, well, as far as that's pretty much basketball for you. That's pretty much madness. Not a whole lot to cover until we get into the upcoming games. But
What was the
For a little-
maddest part? What's been your favorite part of madness so far? The
St.
most
Pete.
just St. Pete.
Yeah,
The Peacocks were pretty mad. That was
Yeah, the
that was
Peacocks
that
wild.
was awesome. I mean,
That
that was
was
awesome. Yeah, the Peacocks were definitely my favorite part. Doug Eddert, who looks exactly like our friend Doug Valentine that we were talking about as a UNC Tar Heel. It's kind of funny. They have the same name, same mustache. So I was really rooting for the Peacocks, but yeah, I think that's got to be the craziest part, and that's kind of a cop out because that's what everybody's going to say. But it's true. Hey,
Yeah,
was the
it's
most
true.
fun part.
Sometimes the story writes itself in March. Peacocks were crazy. That was awesome.
people love an underdog. Love Cinderella. It's hard to beat.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'd probably go with
all
that
that
as well, I
all
guess.
that madness leads to 4 of the top 6 winningest programs meeting in the Final
Yeah, it's
Fours.
kinda
That's what's
crazy.
even crazier about all of it is like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you still end up with essentially 4 teams that make the most sense.
It's almost like March really rewards it's like a program award. It's like the teams that consistently win in March they have to have good programs because you got to be putting a good team in the tournament every year because then you just let madness happen. You know what I mean? If you just keep putting a good team
Yeah,
in there.
'cause
That's
it's
why I think
always-
Tennessee's still in a good spot where you know what? Yeah, we haven't had a ton of success in March, but we're putting a good team in there enough times. We're gonna break through. We're gonna kind of, you just got to keep being there, keep being really good. So players get
Yeah.
to experience it more. Those players play in March every year. That's the expectation. That's they just have more experience and just leads to more success. So a lot of madness and a lot of good basketball left. So
Yeah, a lot of good basketball left. I wish either the Hogs or the Vols were still in it though, so we could go down to the Superdome.
I had my ticket
Um,
booked, man. I had my ticket booked to go down there, but tough.
Tough. It happens. That's what the madness is. That's
We'll
what the
meet y'all in
madness is.
Omaha. How about that? How about
Heck
Hogs
yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, I like
yeah.
that.
takeover? That would
Yeah,
be
we'll
sweet.
Move it to Omaha. Reschedule.
Yep. That's how it works. You don't win a season up, we'll make it to the next one. That's kind of good for both the Hogs and Vols football, or all programs right now are pretty exciting to look forward to. Yeah, basketball's over, but man, look at the baseball team just sweeping number 1 Ole Miss on the road.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And
Well, that's the thing. The Vols athletic department, you go back 5 years ago before Barnes, before Heupel, before Tony V, the entire athletic department, I feel like was just a laughing stock. I think Barrett Sully actually tweeted those exact words earlier today.
Totally.
He was like, that entire athletic department was a laughing stock. And now you have the number 1 baseball team in the country, one of the more hyped up football teams in the SEC, or at least the more
SEC besides Georgia, Tennessee's number 2 in the East, I'd say. Hyped up.
Yeah, well, they're definitely one of the more trending upward teams like that. And then obviously you have basketball doing well.
Just won an SEC championship. I mean,
exactly.
That's what people are getting down on Barnes and people are getting down on Tennessee basketball. But at the end of the day, we won a championship. We won an SEC championship. Hadn't done it since 1979. You got to be happy with that success. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to win a national championship every year. That's the goal, but you just got to find the bright side of things. And there's tons of stuff to be happy about across the board with Tennessee.
Yeah, and I am fully in. We'll cover baseball kind of at the end here, but I love it, man. I love riding along kind of riding this baseball wave that we got going.
Yeah, those games are so much fun too. The legends of Lindsey Nelson, they get rowdy out there.
Yeah.
There's some big renovations too.
I've been trying to tell everybody how much fun baseball is, for a while. Hogs program's been those
y'all
games
been good for a while though.
like that's been it's just almost culturally different. Like up here at Arkansas, when I go to school from the jump, like the like popular, like the cool, like what everyone's doing is going to a Razorback baseball game. Like it's just a huge thing for everybody here, not just students, but the whole like region. Who love a baseball loving region that doesn't really have a pro team anywhere. The Razorbacks have always been that, and you're seeing how much excitement it builds, especially in a time of the year where there's not other major sports going on. Basketball season's well over. It's in the spring during spring practice for football, so it actually can help kind of revitalize some excitement in the whole athletic department, just to get baseball it provides more of a fun, like it's three fun games in a single weekend.
I
football,
love that they always play a series too. That's so fun.
And so like I can go out Friday night and have a whole different experience at a baseball game than if I go on a Sunday afternoon. But like everyone can have just a great time. And when you're winning and hitting home runs like Tennessee is right now, it's so fun to be a part of.
Oh my gosh.
Just celebrate. It is a fun, just especially after, a disappointing exit in basketball, but still you're like, wow, it really was a really great season. Did some things we hadn't done in a long time. Now we get to just celebrate our baseball team just raking right now and being the top in the SEC. I mean, they're top dogs right now. So it's exciting times.
Do we want to hop into, so we're going to talk a little college football, obviously. Do we want to hop into, Trucial, that list you gave, or do we want to give our kind of round table first?
I say we kick off this list, and because I want to get this out of the way. I'm very, and Will, you kind of spoke to a good point. It's not as crazy as I kind of initially said, but as some of you Pay Dirt listeners know, Big Game Boomer, I'm sure a lot of you people who are listening here follow him on Twitter. If you don't, it's basically this account that does all different kinds of rankings, usually focused on college sports, college football. And they came out with the top 100 greatest college quarterbacks of all time. I agree with Tim Tebow at number one. I think that's pretty safe to say, just overall his sustained success, and winning 2 national championships, and what Florida did was amazing. But number 2, Baker Mayfield, is what made me the most mad. I guess he's a Oklahoma fan, but I don't know how you can put Baker at number 2.
You got to take into account I don't even really pay attention to the Oklahoma stuff he puts on there, because you have to take into account the obvious bias. However, here's what I'll say about lists like these two is crossing over generations and everything. It's so hard to make a list like this and actually be accurate. Like, you're obviously going to have, and it's not even that you're wrong or right necessarily. It's just people have different opinions. Like, I see, like, Lamar Jackson is at 37. And some people could probably make the argument that Lamar Jackson is like top 10 or something.
Yeah, I'd say he could be closer to top 10 for sure.
I'm not even saying necessarily I would, but really it's so hard to make a list this large. It's almost easier to just try and make a top 10 or top 20, just because once you start getting into all of these, you could have some that, oh, this guy's ranked 64. I'd have him at 32. It's so hard to compare, especially when you're talking about all these different generations.
Quarterback cross-generational is impossible to compare to. Like a quarterback that played in the 80s or 90s or, way before.
Or you have Joe Namath coming in at number 100 on this list. It's tough to compare Joe Namath to Vince Young.
But like but you could look at Joe Namath's numbers in whatever year he played in versus like the top guys now who throw for. People break passing records like every single week nowadays. Like they're throwing
the game has changed.
They're throwing for ridiculous amounts of yardage. People like Hugh, like an offense like Hugh Freeze runs where you're just constantly just like, that's so it's incomparable to the kind of football they used to play. That doesn't mean you're a less effective quarterback or a more effective quarterback. It's just it's just not the same. The position is not the same at all.
Well, and I think that's when you get into essentially the only way to rank these guys is if you actually watch tape on them or watch them play, because the only way to know is when you're talking about these different generations is to say this guy was just a dominant player. Like, for example, obviously Tommy Frazier, Nebraska, comes in at number 6. Obviously, most Nebraska fans have Tommy Frazier at number 1. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I'd have him top 5 at least. I'd move him up another spot. But if you go look at his stats, it's just so different because he was running an option offense. You know, like he's I'm pretty sure
you just don't even get the attempts.
I'm pretty sure he had like 50% completion percentage one year, but is still considered one of the best college quarterbacks of all time. And he was. I mean, the guy went, back-to-back national championships, 25-0, obviously runner-up for the Heisman. But a couple, we can kind of cover just kind of what sticks out to us. And I have some very controversial takes probably on a couple people on this list. So I'm just going to kick into it. First of all, Cam Newton comes in at number 3. And a lot of people love to talk about Cam being maybe the best college quarterback ever. And I always disagree with it because
longevity.
The guy played 1 year. I get it. If he there's just not enough of a sample size. I get what Cam did, but I would also come back and argue. So let's compare a guy who was kind of in his generation in Johnny Manziel, who played 3 years and had the same kind of stats as Cam. Now, he wasn't on quite as good of a team, but, I'm putting Johnny Football up here at least in the top 10, and I think he comes in at 18. I'm putting Johnny Football above Cam Newton, honestly.
Yeah,
Man.
I thought Johnny Manziel was way too low.
So we got to tap the brakes. We got to tap the brakes. All right. A quarterback is a lot determined by his team success, right? Johnny Manziel's best team finish, they won 9 games.
Yeah, but he had to score 50
Cam
points
above him
every game.
Yeah, but
he had no defense. That's not his fault, dude. Johnny Football blows Cam Newton out of the water for me.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, someone screen record that. That ain't right. Cam Newton was insane. Cam Newton carried a football team on his back. Look at Auburn football outside of the times when Cam was there. Like, he literally changed it's almost more impressive that he did it in only a season. Like, he was so transcendent at the level that, like, he came in for 1 year, plugged him in, carried that team to a national championship, and then was the number 1 pick in the draft. I think.
Well, didn't they win 2 games the next year? After he left?
Gene Chizik got fired.
Gene Chizik did suck.
And then Nick Marshall and Trey Mason showed up in 2013, and they bounced right back into success. But they won 2 games the year after Cam Newton lost. So it's definitely.
You're correct. Cam Newton made Gene Chizik a national championship coach. Gene Chizik is one of the worst head coaches in college football history, in my opinion. However, I will say Auburn did have an insane defense when Cam Newton was there.
Yes.
You had Nick Fairley on the line. He was a top, I want to say, definitely a first-round pick. I don't remember when it was. But, I just don't think you could put Cam Newton in the top 10 for me, but I'm just not putting him in the top 5 simply because he did it for 1 year. And I do understand what you're saying, Seth. It's impressive that he did it in 1 year, but I don't know. I think the fact that guys like Tebow, Vince Young, Matt Leinart did it year after year after year. Dude, I'm going with them all day.
The weirdest thing to me on here, and kind of bringing it back how we were talking cross-generational, Davey O'Brien at number 10. So he played 2 years at TCU. They won a national championship. But so that national championship was a 15-7 win over Carnegie Tech in 1938. His college career stats, he played 37-38, 237 attempts, 40% completion percentage with 947 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Wins the Heisman the next year. I'll give it to him that. But 166 attempts, 56% completion percentage, under 1,500 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Played 2 years. Yes, TCU won a national championship. Yes, they had an undefeated season, but it was over Carnegie Tech, and the dude died in 1977. How is he number 10 on this list?
What
Go
what kind
ahead,
of
Ted.
numbers? What kind of numbers is Cam Newton putting up in that offense?
But it's a totally, you can't compare.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
No.
but
I
I
mean,
mean, I feel like
the-
you just shouldn't even have a 1930s quarterback in the top 10.
that's fair. That's fair. But you can't. I mean, that's
It was
the
a
thing. I have
halfback.
never
That was a
seen-
halfback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Davy O'Brien besides that the award is named after him. So I mean, that's got to count for something. I mean, you're talking about when the game was still developing, so he could have been. I truly don't even know. I mean, he could have just been blowing everyone else out of the water when it came.
That
to
is true.
quarterback.
They
He
held
probably-
9 of their 10 regular season opponents to 7 points or less. Yeah, I'd say that's the defense, not Davy O'Brien.
Yeah, but you don't.
Someone's got to push it along the position. He must have been influential. Like Will said,
Yeah.
to have a trophy named after you, like the trophy for the position.
Yeah, I'm not saying
It's like
he's not
he
influential.
redefined kind of what a quarterback was at the time. It seems silly to us that he was doing that and that's what they considered elite quarterback play, but like at the time it must have been pretty like incredible.
And
Yeah.
it is. So he has the NCAA record for most rushing and passing plays in a single season. So I'll give him that. He was the team's offense. The team's offense wasn't very good, really. But he did only throw 4 interceptions in those 194 attempts. He had 4. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. Yeah. So the most, I mean, that's pretty insane that 194 attempts, only 4 interceptions. But like we said, the offense was different. Football was just different. I think Davy O'Brien only makes the top 10 because of his name.
It's possible. I mean, you look at this list and it's so hard to.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Like-
100 guys on here, and you can move so many people around.
Well, and like a guy like Pat Mahomes is at 88, and yeah, Texas Tech was never really that good, but I mean, he was throwing for 500 or 600 yards in games. And I'm not even saying he should be super high. I just like, how do you even evaluate that? A couple that stick out to me that are still, I'm mainly looking in that first kind of top 25.
yeah,
I'm thinking Mike Vick at 15, maybe a little low. And then
I was thinking that was a little high, honestly.
really, I
Yeah.
just feel like he carried that Virginia. I think about these guys that carried teams. He carried that Virginia Tech team a long way. Like they were, and he was transcendent at the quarterback position as well.
Yeah, he changed basically created the Lamar Jacksons and Cam Newtons. And I mean, he was so influential to those guys that ran a lot. I mean, you can look back at Steve Young and Fran Tarkenton and some of those guys that really moved around, but nobody ran the ball like Vic did and was able to kind of sustain it, stay healthy, it really run a rushing attack through the quarterback. So definitely an argument to be made. I don't know if that makes him top 15, but he changed the position forever for sure.
Where was Peyton? Where was he? Fourth?
4.
Yeah, he was.
I'm fine with that.
What is the top? Oh, hold on. Go through the top 5.
Yeah. So we got Tebow at 1,
Tebow?
Baker at 2, Cam Newton at 3.
Baker
Peyton-
at 2 is a troll so hard.
Yeah.
Baker at 2 is such a troll.
That's just getting people to click on
Yeah.
the thing, I think. Peyton at 4, Vince Young at 5, Tommy Frazier at 6, Roger Staubach at 7, Joe Burrow at 8, Matt Leinart at 9. Then we round out with Big Davy O'Brien at 10.
Yeah.
That's the top 10 right
That
there.
list is that would be so hard to actually rank those people in terms of the best, actually the best. But
Yeah, no, I agree. I would actually say, and this is going to be also one you could probably argue with. I wouldn't have Peyton in the top 5
it's
simply
very,
because
No national championship.
Yeah, which also, I mean, that's another reason why you could drop Baker. Like, that's one reason Baker should not be 2. Like, if you don't have a national championship, you cannot. I don't think you can be in the top 5.
Yeah, because I mean, at the college level, if you're at a Power 5 program and you are a great quarterback, I'd say it'd be fair to take you out of the top 5 if you can't lead your team to a national championship.
at a big name program.
Yes, at a big name program.
Like
Now,
Drew Brees at Purdue, if they
that's a different story.
did they win a Rose Bowl when he was there? Maybe.
That sounds right.
I don't even know, but I mean, I would still definitely have Peyton top 10. I wouldn't have him number 4 though.
Yeah, I could see that being a little high, and you see Vince Young right behind him, and I think
Bro, yeah,
you gotta
VY,
put,
man.
you got to put VY at number 4. I'd be fine with moving that up, but yeah. So let's see. I'm pulling up Drew Brees here real quick at Purdue. So I mean, it's some pretty freaking good numbers overall. Didn't even start. I'm trying to see his game logs here. Oh, they didn't start until 2000, so I can't see all the way. But yeah, in 2000 at least they had 3 losses, 9-3 or 8-3. But yeah, it doesn't let me go back before 2000 on College Football Reference, or else I'd have that pulled up right now.
A couple names I just wanted to throw out there that if you're like a big college football fan, this will just make you go back a few years and really remember the good old days. Pat White from West Virginia comes in at 24. I mean,
that's just pretty high. That's pretty good, honestly.
I think he should be even higher, like you were talking about. Well,
I was gonna say, but I mean, you look
Top
at the
20.
list and it's so hard to put him.
Yeah, good.
It's so hard to put him above some of these guys, but yeah, I mean, I just think, I mean, that offense was ridiculous. Him and Steve Slayton back in the day, but then you also have, let's see who I was looking at. Oh, Graham Harrell from the Mike Leach days at Texas Tech comes in at 34. Yeah. Colt Brennan right behind him at 35 from Hawaii.
Just insane numbers at Hawaii.
He threw for, I think he was the first guy to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And then obviously
that Hawaii offense was just like built to sling the ball though. So you can kind of, how we were talking about the style of games and style of plays. It's not all, you got to take into account kind of, I think the teams that they play, the style that they play, got to take that into account too.
Some names too on here that I just wouldn't think of including, or maybe I'm just forgetting. A guy like Bryce Petty at Baylor, I remember him having a lot of hype. I feel like coming out. The lawyer will love this. Luke Falk from Washington State comes in at 67.
Yeah, former Titan.
Former Titan. Predicted to be the next Tom Brady by our friend of the show, Thomas Swafford.
What do we think?
I don't know how you cannot. How can you be a top 100 college quarterback if you got drafted in like the 7th round? Like top 100. I'm just saying, like, how many quarterbacks have been drafted in the top 2 rounds over the last, isn't that theoretically kind of indication that they were a better college quarterback? Isn't that like kind of the best way to judge them as a college quarterback? Like someone like Robert Griffin drafted number 2. So that meaning he is essentially one of the 2 best college quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, but you have a guy like Doug Flutie or Pat White, or, they weren't drafted super high. I mean, I know Tommy Frazier from Nebraska wasn't, because he had blood clot issues. And that's another, I mean, he wasn't running the same offense that a lot of these guys are.
Yeah, I think it also has to deal with what if pro style offense and how well you can perform in that.
But yeah, Seth, but I think that kind of backs up your point a little bit. I mean, Luke Falk was running like a pro style type offense. So maybe, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Ooh,
just a thought.
Yeah. Colin Klein from K-State at 66. I remember that. I think he had Kansas State ranked number 1 at one point.
I think a couple of things that I want to call out here. Dak Prescott at 84, I think, is a little bit low. I mean, those Mississippi State teams, especially that year when they were got up to number 1.
Yeah. Talk about a person elevating a team.
Yeah, he elevated those Mississippi State teams. So I'd have him higher there. But one thing that I also wanted to ask you guys. So this list has Tua Tagovailoa at number 33 and the top Alabama quarterback. Do you guys agree with he's the greatest Alabama quarterback of all time?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they had Tua and Mac Jones at 1 and 2 for or at least in order of this list.
That's another weird one where you start getting into generations and stuff.
AJ
Because
McCarron should be higher up. Honestly, I think maybe pure talent.
What were they asking? What were they asking AJ McCarron to do?
yeah,
Pure talent.
Throw to Julio Jones.
I mean, he was doing the same thing, but in his defense, he was doing the same thing Mac Jones was doing. That's why I didn't believe in Mac Jones coming out.
No,
but I mean, how do you not put? How is Joe Namath the last Alabama quarterback out of those mentioned?
I thought that was crazy.
That's the one I've got to. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought Carson Palmer, USC number 54. That's a little low. I was a big Carson Palmer guy back in the day.
He won a Heisman, right?
Probably won a Heisman and a national championship. So theoretically, on that index, he's got to be way higher.
Yeah,
but then again, you kind of look back to the program elevation.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, he did it at USC where a couple guys came in and did that.
Just balling at that time.
Yeah, they were balling, dude. They had that one little slot in our lives where they were just so good.
USC was disgusting.
Yeah.
And that Pete Carroll, I think, is one of those really, really interesting things to me. One of the few guys to do it on both sides, national championship and Super Bowl. Now he had actually been a head coach in the NFL before he was a head coach at USC.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to think. Jimmy Johnson at Miami and then Dallas. But that's a pretty elite group right there of guys who have won a national championship and a Super Bowl as a head coach.
You got to know how to handle characters. Like, it's just such a different ball game coaching college kids versus coaching grown men
versus, 32-year-old offensive linemen. I mean, there's a pretty big difference.
That's what Matt Leinart, seeing Matt Leinart at 9, like, I know that's really good, but I just have always thought of Matt Leinart as like one of the best. And obviously, top 10 is kind of one of the best, but like I would at least throw him Joe Burrow's right in front of him. I think I'd throw Matt Leinart in front of him. Because Burrow's kind of similar in that he had maybe the best season ever.
Matt also had Reggie Bush.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase and
that is true.
Who am I forgetting? What's the other one's name?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
and,
you got to have good talent on your team to be able to put up good numbers and be good. Football's a team sport. It was more than basketball. It's all got to come together as a team. I don't know if you can necessarily knock down guys, but you can. It's also, if you got 3 first-round picks at wide receiver, it definitely makes it a little bit easier. No doubt about that.
Yeah. All in all, fun to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's all,
we could talk all day about it, and you can nitpick in here, but definitely to kind of close us out, the biggest gripe I got: take Baker Mayfield out of number 2. That's the final takeaway here.
Yeah, because other than that, you pretty much you can't really be wrong or right. It's all just personal opinion at that point. But yes, we can all agree Baker at 2 is incorrect. I don't even know if I'd have him top. I'd probably have him like top
25.
25. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say top 20, and then I was like, maybe. Let's just say 25 to be safe.
25 to be safe. That's fair. And especially, walk on Texas Tech. It's not like he was sustained success for super long.
Nah, he's pretty good.
He 2 years, really good.
He was good at Tech, though, wasn't he? I feel like I remember him lighting it up, and that was the whole reason he left.
Maybe I'm misremembering things, but
I barely remember his days at Tech. I remember watching him a little bit.
Baker, you talking about Baker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was nothing at Tech. If he had been really good at Tech, he would have just been there. He may have gotten in some trouble too, like just a little bit enough, like.
Yeah, he had that when he got tackled by the cops.
Absolutely slammed to the ground in Fayetteville. That's so funny that happened here.
So his numbers, they were garbage. They weren't garbage, but 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions.
Okay, yeah. Never mind.
But I mean,
this.
so his 3 years at Oklahoma, I was
That's
forgetting
okay.
the
That's
year. I was forgetting the year in there. His 3 years at Oklahoma. I mean, I'm looking at his stats. They are pretty mind blowing.
Some of this talk makes me just reiterate the thought in my head that it's amazing to me that Cliff Kingsbury had Pat Mahomes in college, like didn't really succeed that big and that like they weren't very good, and then failed upwards into the NFL.
Yeah.
Like how did he was very mediocre with a generational, maybe, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, was just like decent in college, and then loses his job at Texas Tech only to get hired in the NFL, a way more elite coaching group. Like it's almost crazy,
Yeah.
the trajectory he took. And now
has
he's
fallen
botching
apart.
Kyler
Yeah.
Murray situation. Like no, big surprise. He's not succeeding. Like he didn't even win at Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes. How wide open with the Big 12? Like he could have at least won like 10 or 11 games.
They weren't even going to bowl games.
No,
dude.
they weren't even
Like,
good.
They were like 7-5 was their best record.
they were losing games. I mean, I think they did play Oklahoma that famous Baker
that
versus Pat
shootout.
Mahomes game where I think it was like 65-55. Guys, they threw for
Absolutely
600
no
or 700
defense in the
yards
Big 12,
apiece.
though.
Huh?
I say absolutely no defense in the Big 12
No.
though, at that time.
Yeah. Well, and that's what Kingsbury essentially just said. Yeah, I don't care about defense. And the NFL was like, okay, well, cool.
The NFL does.
Well, but I mean, the fact that he still gets a job for essentially being I don't know how he got a head coaching job in the NFL. I would have understood an offensive coordinator job
or QB coach. Yeah. I mean, something like that. But
yeah, because his QB coaching resume is off the charts. Because I think he coached Case Keenum at Houston.
yep.
Johnny Football at A&M.
Baker, right?
I think he had Baker. I'm not
Did he have
positive.
Baker? That might have been his first year.
I really think that might be why Arizona picked him at the time that they did, because they knew they were getting Kyler. Probably. You know what I mean? Like they were like, look, we're going to draft this quarterback. We need the perfect guy to groom this quarterback into being like, and just build the offense around him. And I would say Kingsbury probably was like, look, I'll just take, I know how to use him. I can build this offense for him and around him, and kind of go from there. And I think that might have really helped him get that job because they had the number 1 pick in the draft. You know what I mean? I think that really helped.
He's succeeding more in the NFL than he was in college. At least you can say that.
Regular,
yeah, which is still very mediocre.
Yeah.
Which is still, yeah.
Yeah, to end up losing the division to the Rams was kind of insane. I was happy that he did, because I bet on the Rams to win the division at the beginning of the year. But I mean, they were up like 3 or 4 games ahead of the Rams, and they
fell apart.
They fell apart.
I mean,
That's been several straight years. That's been several straight years where they were in really good position, looked great, and just fell apart. Like not even just started losing, just like we're terrible.
Yeah, crumbled. And then even carried into the playoffs, terrible there too. Got destroyed. But
yeah.
We want to do a little roundtable talk, guys. I know we were talking about kind of seeing where the college football programs are at. Not a ton of news, but definitely a little bit of news. Seth, you want to kick us off with Arkansas, and then Will, you and I I'll touch on Vols, and then we'll finish out with Nebraska.
Yeah, real quick. I think what we'll do is, like Trusha was saying, do a quick kind of 30,000-foot view of the programs, and this could be something in the coming weeks, especially as spring practice gets going, that we dive a little deeper into maybe each week. But yeah, Seth, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with just kind of the state of the Arkansas program, what you're excited about, what you're worried about, maybe some predictions, excitement that you have personally. Shoot.
Yeah. It's about as exciting time to be an Arkansas football fan as it has been in a long time. We've had periods of excitement for sure, but it does harken back to kind of the days when Petrino had us really going as consistent kind of top 10s finishes around that. Yeah. It has been since that motorcycle accident that Razorback football has been just going through the dark ages. But really, from just an outside perspective, Arkansas at this point just has a rock solid foundation. That is what we finally kind of built up. This is going to be year 3 under Pittman. I think that's
Steadily
right.
improved every year. Yeah.
And year 2 just took a huge jump. Year 1, faced with the COVID year, short SEC season, like 10-game SEC season for a year 1 SEC coach. And we had not won an SEC game in 2 years. Like we had gone winless in the SEC for 2
I forgot
years.
how bad that was.
Exactly. It's easy to, but that was dark. Like that was bad. And Arkansas is not that kind of program. Maybe we're not a, true elite Alabama type school, but man, we're not like that. We're a strong, respectable, proud program. So he comes out of COVID year, wins 3 games. It doesn't sound like a lot, but winning 3 SEC games after, losing the last 16 at least felt so good. Beat the Vols that year. That was kind of the turn of Jerry
Yeah, we're in
McPruitt.
Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so year 2 just took a huge leap. KJ Jefferson emerged as a star, and that's kind of where we stand kind of now. We've had the same offensive and defensive coordinators for 3 years now. So that continuity is really good. And that's really good. And so and we have a star quarterback in KJ Jefferson who can be that kind of take over a game, a true controller of the offense, playmaker type guy to lead our offense. And, we had the number 1 rushing attack in the SEC last year. And with Pittman in year 3, that only seems to get stronger. That only seems to continue to be an extreme strength of the team. So it's really exciting. We have a crazy exciting schedule this year. We open with Cincinnati at home. So, you get a lot of excitement building in the offseason just because, hey, look, we're playing a playoff contender. They literally were in the playoff last year. They're coming to our house. So you get that to start it off. And I think the expectations are going to be there. Like I would assume Arkansas will probably be ranked preseason for the first time in a long time. And that's, certainly exciting. Had a great finish to the year last year. Just a good finish to the regular season. And then to build that into the offseason and have a really good bowl game and just really dominate a Penn State program that you really respect a lot was fun to watch. So just very exciting. I think KJ Jefferson emerges as a true star and carries us to a really strong season, backed by some experience and some continuity that has been building through several years. And we see the fruits of that, I think, this year. So that's where I'm at.
What's the schedule looking like for y'all?
It's always tough in this. It's always tough where we are.
Always tough.
But this year we do have Alabama at home, Ole Miss at home, LSU at home, and then one more. So we got kind of some of the heavier hitters at home. We always play A&M in neutral. We play Cincinnati and BYU at a conference, and we play Liberty. So that's interesting. And we play. Speaking of Bobby Petrino, we play Missouri State. So all 4 of our non-con games even have some intrigue.
You're catching a lot of those teams at the right time, I think, though.
Yeah, I do too. I just think Arkansas is going to be strong enough to kind of beat to overcome most of those teams. Hopefully. That's what we hope. I just think in the trenches we're going to be is where our strength lies. So it makes, winning some of those games a little bit easier. Anyway, but Bobby Petrino coming back. I said it's been the dark ages since Bobby Petrino had that motorcycle accident and all that came to light. I think we might kind of have like a full circle moment when the Hogs just absolutely dominate Missouri State and Bobby Petrino, and maybe on their way to an SEC West title. Maybe on the way to the national championship. If there's ever going to be a year for Arkansas to kind of just have like we said with Auburn, they were kind of middling around and then kind of bumped up for a year. Like
Or
Arkansas,
LSU.
Yeah, Arkansas could have. We went 9-4 last year. We could either kind of stay the same. We could have a big jump, and if a big jump for us is competing for the whole thing, you're not that far away at that point. Because if you went, say Arkansas goes 10-2 in the SC West in that schedule, like they're going to be kind of up around there even. So it's not crazy talk. It's not crazy talk anymore for the Razorbacks to possibly compete for the national championship. That's all I'll say. That's how we're feeling.
Yeah, what are the 3 games would say are like the biggest games, are going to be the most challenging?
Bama. I mean, that's like Bama is the bar and has been for the longest time. So them at home is always kind of a true pacer test, kind of to where you are almost as a pro. Okay, we get Alabama coming in at home. Can we compete? Like, because I've watched Arkansas at different times. Yes, we've lost like how many in a row? Like we've never beat
Y'all
Saban.
competed last year, though, at least.
That's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
competed last year on the road, and so now we get them at our place another year, in the same everything, another opportunity to give them a fight. Like we're gonna beat them one of these years. Like them coming at home, hopefully it sets up favorably, like around the schedule and maybe give them a good shot. But then other than that, A&M in Dallas is always a really fun. We beat them last year for the first time in a while. It'd be nice to win that one again. And I mean, there's a lot of tough games, but setting things right back with Ole Miss would be good. They got us by 1 last year, in Oxford at 11 a.m. Had just a crazy football. One of the most fun games I've watched in a long time. But just craziest games that ended with us coming up short on a 2-point conversion. I think I don't want to just beat Ole Miss this year. I actually want to beat them pretty bad. Like not as anything against Ole Miss, not as like, but just to establish Arkansas. Yeah, y'all got us last year by a point, but this is where we're really stand. Now. This is where we stand as a program. Like like y'all are gonna get run over this year.
I love it.
How about the Vols? I mean, they're trending in a similar direction. Two of the positive programs in the SEC.
I was going to say, we're pretty much kind of almost kind of in the same direction. We're a year behind, obviously, in the head coaching aspect, but Heupel has made such a quick turnaround, and Danny White at athletic director, I think, is really just level set everything. And they obviously already had that connection, Heupel and White, down at UCF. But biggest thing that I'm most excited about as a Tennessee fan, obviously Nico, 5-star quarterback coming in from California. Also got some crystal balls for Chandavian Bradley, 5-star edge rusher, number 3 edge rusher in the nation today as well. So that's looking like this class could end up having a few 5-stars in it, along with some strong 4 and 3 stars as well. So the recruiting machine is getting rolling here. Hendon Hooker's returning at quarterback. We got Seti Tillman. I mean, it's going to be an interesting season. We got to see how the defense plays out. But the schedule this year, I mean, it's always tough in the SEC, but we got a lot of opportunities because Pitt, we're playing them again. We're going to get our revenge of Pitt. They don't have Pickett anymore, so I'm hype about that game. That's going to be fun to go in there and stomp on them. That's going to be a much needed win at the beginning of the season. But we've got Alabama and Florida at home this year, and with Florida losing their head coach, I mean, we got to beat Florida this year. We got the talent offensively for sure. Florida's going to have a down year. They have to. So that's a game that I'm really excited about. But we've got some tough games on the schedule as well. Got to go down to Baton Rouge and play LSU. That'll be interesting to see how Brian Kelly gets his team ready to go. But definitely nice to have Florida and LSU with first-year head coaches. Games that I'm most scared of are definitely at Georgia. That one is not going to be easy at all. That one's going to be really tough. And then at South Carolina at the end of the season is a game that I'm a little bit more scared of than I think some fans are, because, hey, they're playing Beamer ball down there. Yeah, we ran them off the field last year, but South Carolina finished the season strong. They're shaping up pretty well. They've got Rattler. He's going to be dangerous. So I'm a little bit more nervous about that South Carolina game than I think a lot of Vols fans are. But I mean, really only positivity here going from Jeremy Pruitt and 3 wins to getting 7 wins last year was unreal. The program seems like it's in good shape. The recruiting class could potentially end up being top 5, probably will be top 10 for sure. So yeah, pretty excited overall. But as always, the SEC is tough. If we finish second in the SEC East, I'd say that's a successful season. If we somehow pull it off and Georgia's just fat and happy, drunk off the national championship, that would be amazing if we somehow win the SEC East, but it's going to be tough. So I think there's a chance, especially because Georgia won a national championship. I mean, that hunger and strive and want for that national championship, when that disappears, I mean, that can demotivate a lot of players and demotivate Kirby Smart as a head coach. Now these guys are professionals and are still good, so I don't know if it'll truly change anything or not. But the ACC East is definitely within reach. Not going to be easy, but it's within reach. So if we have another winning season, I'd love to see 9 games. But the ceiling, there's no end to the ceiling right now. So that's I'll leave it at that. But we'll see how this recruiting class does and how we round out there. It's looking really nice, but pretty up on the Vols football right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what would your record prediction be?
8-4, and then a good bowl game win at 9-4 would be, I'd say, a level-headed prediction. Gonna probably lose to Alabama and Georgia, and then LSU or South Carolina. Probably one of those two is going to be tough. Going on the road, but yeah. So I'll take 8-4 and then a nice little bowl game win. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd be surprised. I think I would be surprised if Tennessee didn't win 8 games in the regular season. Actually, not shocked, but at least a little surprised. I think, yeah, you can kind of chalk up the Bama and Georgia as losses. And then really from there on, I think you're better than everyone you're going to play, but I don't think you're good enough to not
to consistently play your best. Yeah, it's tough
Right.
I mean, a team is never as good as their best game and never as bad as their worst game. So
Right.
you got to look at it that way. And SEC schedules are tough. So trying to be level-headed as possible. 8 wins, certainly doable in the regular
I think
season.
most people would be happy with that. Keep going, keep winning more games than you did the last year.
Yeah,
I think everyone would be
for sure. And then, like Seth said, you take the jump year 3 with Heupel. Maybe Pittman takes the jump this year, but there's a big man down south named Josh Heupel who's coming in hot too. So Hogs better get scared.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll jump into the Huskers real quick. The Huskers actually have their spring game a week from Saturday. So I'm really excited to get a look at the thing about the Huskers this year is there's a ton of new faces. Frost did a really good job in the transfer portal as he needed to, because he's kind of in a situation where he really needs to win now.
Yeah.
And so obviously the glaring one, you went out, you got Casey Thompson from Texas. I mean, led the Big 12 in touchdown passes last year. Good athlete. And I kind of like that. I mean, I think his goal is to come to Nebraska and then go pro. Will that happen? I don't know. But I kind of like that that's his goal, because if he does that, that means we probably had a pretty good season. So I'm excited. I'm looking at the schedule now, and Nebraska's in an interesting situation, right, where they could have beaten anyone they played last year. They were literally in every game. So although you end up going 3-9, I'm looking at the schedule, and at least this schedule is definitely more favorable for the Huskers than last year was. I think the biggest thing is you have that first game in Ireland against Northwestern, open up the college football season. And if they can just win that game, just start off 1-0, like you are better than Northwestern. That was actually the one game, they beat Northwestern 55-7 or something last year. They came out, played well, dominated. But Northwestern is so up and down. I mean, the year before that, Northwestern was in the Big Ten championship. So you just don't know what you're going to get with them. But if they can just start there, then they have North Dakota, not North Dakota State, just North Dakota, then Georgia Southern, and then Oklahoma comes to Lincoln. That's going to be the big game. So if the Huskers can start 3-0, win that Northwestern game, those 2 non-con games before Oklahoma comes into town, Oklahoma will probably be ranked still at that point. I don't know if Oklahoma is really even going to be that good next year.
Yeah,
I think that's a game.
Perfect time to beat them.
Yeah,
perfect time to beat
exactly.
them down too. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, Frost can get his first big win, maybe a top 20, top 15. I have no clue what Oklahoma's going to be ranked. So, but I assume they will be ranked somewhat high. So, if you can do that, if the Huskers start off 4-0, I mean, I'm not saying they will because they haven't proven that to me yet.
Was the Illinois loss last year?
Yeah, it was the first game of the year, and it was just disgusting. But here's the thing. It's obviously I say this knowing that the Huskers didn't close on a lot of these games, and I'm hoping that a change in a lot of things. I mean, we changed so many things. I mean, getting Mark Whipple from Pitt to come be the offense coordinator, that's huge. Obviously, Casey Thompson's big. You got Anthony Grant, who is a JUCO running back that was originally at Florida State, coming into play. You have a ton of new faces and playmakers coming in. The Huskers, if I look at their schedule, I actually don't believe that they're worse than any team they play until the last 3 games of the season. And I don't even know if I think they're worse than some of those teams. You have this schedule is very forgiving, especially compared to last year and the year before. But so after those games I mentioned, those first 4, you got Northwestern Oklahoma, you got Indiana, Rutgers, Purdue, Illinois, Minnesota, and then you get into the last 3, which is Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. Those are teams, and Michigan.
Yeah, but win the first 9 and see what happens.
Huh?
win all the first 9 and then just see
exactly.
where it happens.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. If I look at this schedule, I'm thinking we're better than those first 9 games. We are better than them, but we just haven't proven that we can win any of them yet. So
the Oklahoma game seems like a tipping point,
Yeah.
Win that one and the season could tip to a really good and maybe or lose it. And it's we're in trouble again.
Well, and that's how I felt actually about the Illinois game last year, that first game of the season. I was if we could just start off 1-0 and then you play your non-conference, get a couple quick wins, just the feeling of being 3-0 or whatever versus 2-1 or 1 whatever they started off as 1-2, whatever. It's just a whole different ball game. You're not in panic mode. You're cruising. You're feeling good. You're doing everything right. I don't know, because just so many of those games we just choked away, and it was obviously special teams was a glaring issue last year. I mean, we lost. Frost came out, and I think he said 2 games were a direct result of special teams. And I honestly think you could probably say 4 games were a direct result of special teams. So they went out and got a good special teams coordinator that had been there before. So we'll see. I'm excited. I think at the very least, Husker fans need Frost to win 6 or 7 games. But it's also, you're in that situation where, hey, you were you were a football away or whatever, a special teams blunder away last year from winning a lot of games.
Yeah,
realistically,
I feel like that 7-win season should have come last year or the year before, honestly.
Well, it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you kept him, so it's if he wins 6 or 7 games, you're definitely not going to get rid of him now, because that's doubling your win total, more than doubling your win total from the year before. So, but at the same time, you're in a position where, okay, you could actually win more games than that if you truly have it's like they were right on the line, and if you get over that line, it's a whole different ballgame. You're right at the difference of being a good to great team or a bad to really good team. If you can just make some kind of jump, and I think, I mean, it's all going to come down to this Casey Thompson kid from Texas. If he can play, if he's really good, if he's all he's cracked up to be, then you're going to win. I mean, I could see them winning 8 or 9 games. I'm not saying they will, because I can't. They haven't had a winning season in a few years. So I'm excited. I think no matter what, I think the Huskers finally do get to a bowl game. So I'll go ahead and throw a prediction out there. I'll say 7-5 and just see what happens. Let the chips fall where they may on that. And I think Husker fans, I don't know if they would necessarily be super happy. I think it would kind of be a moment of relief finally. Like, okay, we're finally like doing something. It looks like we're on the right track. Let's keep this going. So exciting to say the least. I think I'll have a much better idea once I see the spring game and kind of see how the quarterbacks and new running backs have panned out and how they look playing in the offense, and to see what Mark Whipple's doing with the offense. Because I think they will be kind of throwing the ball around a lot. Obviously, he had Kenny Pickett over there at Pitt, so he had a big playmaker to use in that offense. So hopefully he can do the same thing. We'll see.
It's going to be interesting. Y'all want to finish out the show here with a little college baseball talk?
Definitely.
Do it.
Um,
Talk
I
of the
definitely
town.
have a lot to say about the
Yeah.
Tennessee Volunteers. We are number one unanimously across every poll, 23-1. And I want to see here. What did we outscore Ole Miss? I'm pulling it up. Yeah, outscored them 26-7. Number one Ole Miss on the road. That's insane. I mean, that's unheard of in college baseball to just sweep and destroy a number one team like that. So all that crap. I did think it was funny when Lane Kiffin came out. I thought it was funny when he threw the golf ball out as a first pitch. I thought that was pretty funny. Nice little dig at us after last year when the absolute atrocity that happened in Neyland Stadium, a game that should have been, I mean, that Tennessee won, that literally the referees called back a touchdown that I had never seen before in a way that I had never seen before. But that's all besides the point. We whooped them. Really excited about, we've got Vanderbilt this weekend. It's here in Nashville. Unfortunately, I will be out of town. I will be in St. Louis for work. A little quick fact about St. Louis. Shout out Albert Pujols.
Shout
Coming
out. He's back.
He's back, baby. So going for one final round, going up there for work, but I'll be in St. Louis to welcome Albert Pujols back into town. Hopefully get to see some family as well, because my dad is from St. Louis. So excited to be up there. And man, we just got an exciting weekend of baseball ahead of us. And this Vanderbilt team is tough. They're top 10 every year. Our only loss is to Texas, who we lost to in the College World Series last year. That was really unfortunate. Couldn't get our revenge. But this Vanderbilt, I mean, this is the full-on test here. If we go win 2 out of 3 games, win this series, Vols are going to Omaha again.
I hope so.
Yeah, the Vols are hot. It's good. It's a good time to be
Arkansas,
involved, but don't look
number
too.
2.
Yeah, you got to
Arkansas
look
number
right
2.
behind you. The Razorbacks are right there
knocking
with
on the
you.
door.
We're not 23-1. I'll tell you that. We've lost quite a few games, but ain't lost the
Won some
series
big
yet.
ones.
We're
Yeah.
5-1 in the SEC so far, so that's good. And Kentucky, we kicked the crap out of Kentucky. It actually looked a lot better this weekend. So, anyway, yeah, pretty good start. Right where we need to be. The Vols are they're a little ahead right now, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes to Omaha. That's fun. It's exciting to have because at this point, I mean, there's so much SEC play to be left, and every team is so good in the SEC. So like you got to stay on your game the whole time, but that keeps you sharp for postseason. Then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. So it's fun. It's amping up. Weather's getting good. Baseballs are start flying a little farther out of the park. It gets a little warmer here. Start hitting some more home runs. Start having some big crowds and big weekends. We got Mississippi State this weekend, which is always really fun. Should have some massive crowds and get the good vibes flowing. Hopefully Hogs keep winning and playing good. Their bats are starting to come around. See, that's where Tennessee's been just mauling the ball.
I mean, literally hammering it. We're leading Division I in like almost every single hitting category. It's insane.
What do we have? Do we have how many home runs does Tennessee have?
Let me pull
It's like
this
60
up
something.
60, I believe
It's like
64.
Arkansas is number 2 in the country, not in home runs. Like we're not number 2 in home runs, but just as a team, and we have 24.
Yeah, it's been like unprecedented, basically, what Tennessee has been able to do. We've got, holy cow. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players with double-digit home runs. I mean, that
It's
is
crazy. That's crazy.
insane.
We'll see. I mean, they've kept it up in SEC play too so far too, which is, I mean, that was kind of everyone's like, oh, they hit a ton of home runs and they're little because Lindsey Nelson is a little bit. I mean,
It's 10
just
feet, 10
yeah,
feet
but
smaller than Ole
but
Miss's
I mean,
stadium. It is
that
a, li-
makes it's a
yeah, it makes a difference for sure.
yeah, but then they just kept absolutely just hammering the ball everywhere else. So like it doesn't seem to be it seems to just be that they're very good. And Ole Miss's players were so funny and just digging themselves in an
Dude.
even bigger hole by just being like,
Idiots. They're like, oh,
we
didn't
just
take
weren't
them
prepared.
seriously. Yeah.
Well, that's on you and that's on your coach. That makes your coach look so bad. Oh, you can't get up and you can't get excited. You can't get prepared for an SEC weekend series. Forget that this team's in the top 5. Like you can't get ready to play an SEC team in, you only get so many weekends a year,
Early in the season too, like when you're hype, like you're playing baseball, like get
Yeah.
excited. Like it just kicked off. Let's go. You know?
Then you just took a massive L and then you
Looked
just
so
look so
stupid.
much worse. Yeah.
But
You literally just say like, look, they got the best of us today. We'll come back tomorrow, but don't say, oh, we just weren't prepared.
yeah, that's
We didn't get
so
ourselves
dumb.
up and hype. Like we weren't hype enough. That's on you. Okay. That makes you a loser. That's literally why you like, okay.
That's why you lost, son. Yeah. What do you mean don't get up for a top 5 team in the country? We do have 64 home runs, by the way. I did want to confirm that stat real quick. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's total just dumb move on that pitcher's part. I can't. I'm not even going to go look up his name. He's irrelevant.
Well, and one of them, I think it was him who came out after that first game and basically guaranteed a win for the next
he
day.
said,
And that
I guarantee you we win. And then we whooped them again by 10 runs.
Scored
Hey,
10 runs,
it's a
like
shame.
another double-digit run day.
There's no Hogs and Vols this year in the regular season.
I was looking
No
at the
series.
schedule.
That's kind of unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. That would have been a good excuse to
that would have been so hype.
Make a little road trip or something.
Will, you got an excuse to go up to Knoxville this Tuesday. If you take a little PTO, the Vols are playing Lipscomb in baseball. Your 2 alma maters there. It'd be a
Not
battle,
2, just one.
battle for the ages. Yeah, you went to Tennessee for a year. It counts.
Yeah, I didn't graduate from there though.
We're all
I'm counting
volunteers.
you. You're a VFL. Come on.
I am a VFL. Yeah, sure. I had no idea where you were going with that. I was like, why do I have an excuse to go to Tennessee? But yeah, no, I got to go to some Tennessee baseball games. I just looked at the ticket prices for
They
this weekend in
skyrocketed.
Vandy. Dude, they're $150 to $200.
It's insane basically how the ticket prices have turned right around. I was lucky enough to get some tickets at the Arkansas game last year, Seth, that you probably remember pretty well, the walk-off from Max Ferguson. That was legendary. And I mean, if you've been in Lindsey Nelson, and I know we were talking about Vanderbilt prices here, but if you've been in Lindsey Nelson when it's rocking, it was sold out. I mean, it feels like you're in Neyland Stadium. It was insane. And finally, the SEC has started selling beer in stadiums too, which definitely helps the fans get loosened up a little bit, and lets those legends of Lindsey Nelson get a little riled up and get some trouble to that first baseman. So it's going to be a fun year. Tough schedule ahead of us, just like every other SEC team, but bright future for the Vols and Hogs.
How often do we get to talk about the Hogs and Vols and we're actually the top 2 programs in the country?
That's pretty
awesome.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's something to be excited about.
I know. Meet in Omaha, I guess.
I hope so.
All, that would be amazing.
I think I may actually just run down to West End this Friday night, go to Satco or something, then just walk by the stadium and see if I can get in there somehow.
You could, I guarantee you
should
scalp
probably
a ticket for cheap. Wait,
Especially if it's
go sit in the
after-
outfield.
Yeah, go sit in the outfield. You could even wait for the second inning. Find some guy who's
Sneak in through Memorial Gym. Go out the back door.
Yeah,
right into the concourse.
Where it's connected.
Yeah.
Huh. I might try to do it.
You can
You
get
know
in
what
that
also-
stadium. That stadium has places, man.
Yeah, I've been.
Just
yeah.
don't get arrested. We need you for the
No.
pod.
Boys, you know it starts a week from tomorrow as well, don't you?
What starts a week from tomorrow?
April Masters.
Oh, Masters. Oh, duh.
No,
Oh, wait,
but
no.
close. That might be better. I don't know. The
When-
Nashville Sounds kick off
Oh, the
their
Nashville-
Oh,
season.
yeah, that is true.
gotta
Triple
go-
A baseball, baby. I don't know if we'll talk a whole lot about the Sounds
Welcome
on
to the
this pod,
show.
but
Hey, it's a
We-
fun stadium. For
we need to go
any
have a
Patriot
live
listeners
pod
that
from
haven't
the
been
s-
there,
from
it
the
is
Sounds
a fun
game.
place to be.
yeah, if we could set it up, go sit, get a
Catch
good,
the catch the sounds of the just go sit in the berm and just put up a microphone and just kind of have a pod. going.
We should do some live interviews with Sounds fans. I think that's what we
Yeah.
should do. Some live interviews on Instagram. See how the Nashville fans are feeling.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot. No, yeah. Okay, guys. Anything else we want to cover before we send it off?
Good. Go Hogs. Go Vols.
Go Vols.
All right, guys.
Go-
Thanks
go
again for
Skurs.
listening. Be sure to check us out. Social media, Twitter at Pater_sports, on Instagram at Pater_sports. Check out the website, patersports.blog. Have all the updates and everything you need on there. Remember, we're part of the Six Pack Coverage Network, sixpackcoverage.com. Check them out. Food, travel, fitness, obviously sports as well. Anything you need, really, they've got it. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter as well at Six Pack Coverage. Guys, thanks again for listening, and we will see y'all next week.
Pay Dirt out.